Now that you know what marketing is, it's very important for you to understand how a company goes about implementing their marketing campaigns or any type of strategies that they have for their products, their services, or the company and brand in general. Whether it's a solo entrepreneur, a mid-sized company, or a large corporation, there are 7 key functions that are necessary to help the marketing strategy for the company work. And the marketing team or the individual needs to be able to carry out these tasks and responsibilities in order to design, organize, and execute any successful campaign that the company is running. So we're going to talk about those 7 functions of marketing. I'm Jacque Walker with Marketing Adventure, providing you with marketing content for an engaged classroom. All right, so let's talk about those activities that make up definition. So those activities really are considered functions. These functions are all involved in the whole process of marketing a product, whether they're marketing a product to a wholesaler, business to business, directly to a retailer, that's still business to business, or whether they are marketing a product directly to the consumer, and that's business to consumer. Marketing is done across the board, and marketing can be done for a particular product or service at various levels. So when I talk about marketing from a producer to a wholesaler or another business, that could be marketing through, let's say, trade shows or market. The market center is where companies go to promote their products to buyers. For a big company, department store, boutique, or I could be an entrepreneur and I want to sell things online. Either way, the person who's the manufacturer or who is promoting the goods or the services has to promote them to someone who's going to take those products and use them for resale. There are situations in which the producer of the product could market directly to the consumer, or if a retailer or a wholesaler has purchased products and services, then they would in turn market the products to the consumer. All right, so let's talk about 7 functions of marketing. I am covering 7. I know that there's various marketing resources out there that may have more than 7 functions of marketing or less, but I'm going to talk about 7 of them. We're going to talk about distribution, financing, market information management, pricing, product and service management, promotion, and selling. The reason why these are functions of marketing is because these are activities that must happen in order for the product to or service to move from the producer to the consumer. So that's why these are functions. When you think about function, you think about something that is happening, like action. So I always want you to think about that. When you think about function, when you hear the word function, it is the action that is taken for something to occur. Distribution. It is that action of getting the products, moving the products from the producer to the consumer, or to the wholesaler, or to the retailer. So moving the products from the producer to the next point in which they need to go. And when we think about distributing, are things that have to happen as far as positioning, moving, locating. It all becomes a part of the whole scheme of what a company needs to do to sell that product. Because you'll hear in marketing these days from domestically in the U.S. that things are made in the U.S. All right, and that's key when we talk about availability, because things made in the U.S., we have quicker access to them than things that are made overseas. And you have to go through the whole exporting, importing, the taxing of those products, and then actually getting those products out of custom to where they need to go. When we think about distributing as a whole part of the function, we're thinking about how we're going to move the product from manufacturing, producing, all of those things to the consumer. And that's a major selling point. As we continue to talk about distributing, let's talk about storing and handling the products. Okay, we all know about this big giant called Amazon. Amazon has cornered the market on distribution. They cornered the market on how to get products from producers to the consumers. They have been replicated, but not fully duplicated. There are some companies that are coming up. You have your Walmarts that are doing this now. And you'll notice when you go to walmart.com, it's not only just talking about Walmart products that you can get in the store. It has all sorts of vendors in which those products are coming from. So you're talking about the storing of the goods, and you're talking about how it's handled, and then how it gets to the consumer. So, these days, products get to the consumers very quickly. We don't no longer have to wait weeks to receive products. We can get them pretty quickly. So all of that is involved in distribution. And trust me, that is part of the whole marketing game for a company as to how quickly they can get their products to them. That's why so many people sign up for services like Prime, because they want to get their products same day or next day. Okay, so then you have distribution of product goods like food. We talk about Uber Eats and all these different ways in which we can get our products without having to leave our homes. So distribution has become very key. E-commerce has become very key in the whole marketing scheme of a company. The next function we're going to talk about is financing. It's an area that I know you as teenagers don't really have a full grasp of right now, because you don't have to deal with finances. You don't have to deal with money really too much these days, unless you're working part-time and you're trying to figure out how to pay your phone bill, buy you some clothes, and do all those things. Now, I know some teenagers take on bigger brunt of responsibility with helping with the household bills and stuff. But when we talk about financing, we're talking about how a company is actually going to cover all of their expenses, operating expenses. And those operating expenses include inventory. It includes paying for the lights and the water and all the things that are needed for the physical location in which the company is located in. It means paying employees. It means getting your equipment. It means paying for all of the packaging and things that you need to do to make the product. Yes, and also for your packaging, also for your mailing. It's for all of the expenses that you are going to incur to run your business. So when we talk about financing, how are you going to get that money? Because a lot of times you don't have that money in your pockets, nor do you have it in your bank. So you have to look for maybe investors, people who are actually going to give you money to help your business get started. Or you're going to have to look at maybe getting a loan to cover your expenses, or you can look at getting grants. Right now, I know that the government has a lot of things out to help business owners who were affected by this whole situation that we have going on globally. Maybe you get a grant, but you have to look at how you are going to pay for all of those expenses that are related to your business. The next function that we're going to talk about is market information management. Let me tell you, and you may know, but if you don't, information is being collected on you at all times. When you go to the store, they'll ask you for your zip code because they're collecting data on you, the consumer, so that they'll know, hey, maybe we need to send these flyers in the mail to this zip code because we get a lot of customers that shop with us from that zip code. So that's one way that they can collect information. So market information management just has to do with the data that is collected about you as a consumer, whether it's done through the register, getting your phone number, your email, or your zip code, whether it is done when you are out and about and you see people and they're like, would you be willing to participate in this survey? I've gotten money, I've gotten lottery tickets, I've gotten a variety of things for participating in surveys. Nowadays, they're doing a lot of surveys online. That's market information management. People get paid to do surveys because companies need your information to know who they need to target as a target customer, or how they need to market to you, or a variety of things that they need to collect from you in order to know how to do business. Who do they need to focus on? You can also do focus groups, which is when a group of people come together and they are paid to talk about, they're given a product. I've done a focus group for a toothpaste and I've done a focus group about a movie, the trailer of a movie. So what we had to do is just talk about like what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it, what perceptions we get from the color that's used, from the trailer that we watched, like what did it make us feel. They want to know all these things because in order for the company to make sure they're grasping a hold of your attention so that you will, one, make a purchase or go see a movie or whatever it is that the focus group is about, they are gathering all that information from you so that they can put it out in a proper format, the right way, at the right time, all those things. So market information management is just collecting data. They want to know from you, the individual who is a potential customer or consumer, like, what do they need to do? You know, if green is something that everybody likes, then maybe we need to change the background to green, you know. So that is market information management, and it's taken in many formats. They gather the information in many formats and they use it a variety of ways to ultimately have you, the consumer or the customer, to make the purchase. So let's talk about pricing. This is a concept that I know can be one that's a bit challenging to determine, because as an entrepreneur teacher for 14 years, I can tell you that students tend to like to go low on the pricing because in their mind, they believe that no one's gonna pay this much for that product. I'm here to tell you that's not true. Pricing, when we look at how much we're going to charge someone, or a company looks at how much they're going to charge someone for something, the first thing that they have to take into consideration is the labor and the cost of the materials to actually produce that particular product. That's called the cost of goods sold. Going back to the hair bows. So when you're making a hair bow, you have to look at, okay, how much ribbon am I going to need? How much does that ribbon cost? How much did that clip cost? How much does the glitter cost? How much does whatever I'm decorating this hair bow with cost me? And then how much time did it take me to make it? And what is my hourly rate? So that is your cost of goods sold. And when you're providing a service, like you're doing lawn service, or you're writing a resume, or you're babysitting, or you're teaching dance, or any of those things, you have to think of what is my, how much is that service gonna cost for me to provide that to the customer, the consumer. Once you get the cost of goods or the cost of services sold out of the way, that is your base for then building on to determine what your price is going to be. So the things that you have to take in consideration is you have to think about your operating expenses. You have to think about your packaging. You have to think about all of those things that need to be covered as far as your operations and your business is concerned, and factor those into the price that you're going to price the product at or the service at, right? And you're like, oh, how do I factor those in? Okay, there's a way to do all of that figuring out. But just know that the pricing cannot just be based on how much it cost you to make it. Because if you just charge how much it cost you to make it, then you will not be able to even pay yourself, let alone a business. If you're running a business, you won't be able to pay your employees. You won't be able to pay for your rent and all the utilities. You won't be able to pay for your advertising, because all of those things factor into your cost. So pricing has to do with coming up with a price that will cover your cost of goods sold, your cost of services sold, your operating expenses, and all of those things that have to do with your company distributing, all of those things. So that is pricing. There's a lot of different methods that you can use to do your pricing structure or to come up with your pricing. And just keep in mind that not only are you looking at covering your cost of goods and your cost of services sold, not only are you looking at covering your operating expenses, but you're also looking to have profit. And profit is that margin between all of that, amidst your price is up here, your cost of goods is right here, your operating services right here, and that space in between, that is your profit. You need profit in order to make your business stay afloat, because the reason we go into business is to make money, not to break even. We don't go into business to just make the money that we put out. We go into business to make above and beyond the money that we put out, and that's called profit. So the higher your profit margin, the better your business is. The more successful your business is, the more you can grow, and the more you can expand your product line, expand the number of businesses that you have to grow the size of your company. Okay, so that is pricing. Let's get into talking about product service management. I was in project management for 7 years with a telephone company. It's all about managing the process that goes on from the conception of a product to getting it out to the wholesaler, retailer, or the consumer. So there is the designing part of it, there's the overseeing the manufacturing part of it, it's the testing, it's the different functions that help that product move through the assembly line of getting it from conception to an actual physical product, or if it's a service, to a viable service that can be used so that it can go out to the consumer to actually be used or purchased. And when we're talking about the whole process of managing, when we talk about product management, when we talk about service management, there has to be quality control built into that. So we have to build in and look at also, how will we determine that this product meets the standards of the industry that we are in? Or how do we know that this product meets the standards of our customers? So there's a process improvement control that has to be a part of that. So that is also in the whole product management, service management piece of the function of product service management. So it involves all these different things, that developing the product, the control process in that development, the control process of quality management, the control process of if the product works and is viable for the consumer. So it deals with a whole bunch of processes that help keep the quality and the standards of the product or the service at the levels that they need to be. It's all about managing those. It could be systems, it could be processes, but it's a lot of things that have to do with the managing it through the development phases so that it can come out and be something viable for the consumer. So now let's talk about promotion, the promotion function. Promotion covers a gamut of things, but when we talk about promotion, we're talking about the communication. There has to be some type of communication that goes on from the producer to the consumer, the customer, so that they even are aware of the actual product or the service, right? So it's the communication that is in place to help a company make their product or their service known. Now, there is something called a promotional mix, and a promotional mix can include a variety of things, but one of the main components of a promotional mix is advertising that is done by a company. And advertising is something that is paid for. There's publicity. Publicity is something that is free. Press release, somebody mentioning you, like if you send a press release to the radio station or the news station and they mention you on their shows, publicity is free. Public relations, that's all about making your name good with the community. And we'll talk about all of these in detail in another video. But fashion shows, visual merchandising, all of those things are a part of promotion. So there's a variety of things you can do to promote, but I tell you that the biggest thing that companies do to promote themselves is to advertise. You see it on social media. You'll see a sponsored post. You'll see an paid for ad that an influencer is doing paid partnership with the company. So you see that crop up in a variety of ways, social media mostly nowadays, and you see a lot of people getting paid because they are influencers, or they are ambassadors, or they are affiliates. They do affiliate links and things of that nature. All of those are promotional tools that are very highly used these days, but there's still the old ads. They're the things that come in the mail, that is a mailer from a company that you normally buy things from. There's not so much these days catalogs, but you do get mailers. You may receive something in an email. Email marketing is very big these days, so that's promotional. There's a lot of different things that companies do to promote their products and their services. So that's the communication that goes from the producer to the customer and the consumer. That is what promotion is. And look for the video that talks more in detail about the promotional mix. And I just want to say keywords here, that promotion is the activity that persuades and reminds a person about a product or a service. Branding is the key word that is used these days. Companies are constantly putting themselves in front of their target customer with promotion. It's the constant communication, persuasion, and reminding of who you are and why the customer or consumer needs you. The function of selling. Selling is determining what the needs and the wants are of the customer in order to provide a specialized product or service to meet those needs or wants. So you are selling by asking them questions, finding out what their particular needs are, and you're probing and asking them some things to determine, what it is that they're looking for. And then you are putting together a certain set customized products or services that is going to meet the needs of what their desires. Let's say you walk into a store, a fashion store, and you're looking for an outfit for prom. Are you looking for an outfit for homecoming? Whatever it may be. So they're going to ask you some things. What style? What color? They want to know what length you want, what type of material, all of those things, so that they can go into their inventory and say, okay, let me pull some things for you and let me show you what that is. So then they're looking to meet the desires in which you have specified to them. So selling comes in all sorts of aspects. There's car salespeople, there are electronic sales, selling is in every industry, but they all have to know what you, the customer to consumer, want in order for them to provide an answer, to give you the results that you desire. There are some steps to selling, and I will have a video that will actually walk you through the steps of selling. So be on the lookout for that one. Question of the day: which function do you feel like you would be strongest at? Now that you've been given a highlight of the basic 7 functions of marketing, be sure to check out the individual videos that give a more detailed overview of each function. Also, if you like what you've listened to today, please be sure to subscribe, comment, like, and click the bell for notifications on more material like this, and share this channel with others you feel would benefit from the content.